Hi, I'm Program Director Jeff Terrell with Fenton Fitness and Athletics Center, coming to you today with some thoughts to kick off the week on a new trend sort of in the fitness industry that I've seen more and more, especially through social media outlets. I'm not sure how prevalent it is in some of the commercial gyms around, but nonetheless, I figured I would give my 2 cents on it and sort of thoughts on it based off the experience I've had over the years. And that is tissue smashing is the sort of trendy term to be calling it. And basically, if you're not familiar with this, good, just ignore it. But if you've heard people talk about it, or your gym or the place you're at is sort of getting into this quote unquote tissue smashing, basically, I've seen it done in a few different forms, some of which consist of filling a metal tube or cylinder with large amounts of concrete to where you're rolling, up to 200 pounds worth of a concrete tube basically up and down your spine or legs or shoulders, oftentimes requiring the assistance of another individual to help maneuver that heavy object, sort of smashing, if you will, your tissue. And the newest one I've seen, which is even maybe a little bit more aggressive, is actually where you're basically having another individual walk on you, I've seen it done on the thighs, where somebody's actually taking little steps up and down on your thighs. And this is supposed to, the claims are abundant, as many things in the fitness industry, everything from, making you more supple, whatever that means, to making you more explosive, improving recovery time, reducing injury risk, and so on and so forth. So a couple thoughts on this. Number one, as far as the claims go, they're all unfounded, meaning there's the tissue smashing, the way that I'm describing it, with these large metal cylinders, weighted tubes, individuals walking and crushing your musculature and connective tissue and everything. There is zero research on it, zero controlled research on it. So any claim is just that, simply a claim with no actual controlled studies to back up that claim thus far. The way I would look at the tissue smashers, I would look at it as any type of soft tissue therapy. So I would compare it, it would be comparable in some ways to things like foam rolling, deep tissue massage, static stretching, things of that nature. The big thing I think here is that even with those different modalities, and those are not all the same thing, but the research on those things, even as far as foam rolling, as far as in long-term improvements to mobility, reduced recovery time, increased performance, are very minor at best. So there are some benefits. We foam roll with our clients, every day before we do our workouts. I think the short-term improvements to tissue quality from foam rolling, that's been shown pretty clearly that we do get improvements. Now, whether those improvements last long-term is yet to be shown, really. But I think a lot of the claims are sort of overreaching at best. So understand that these modalities are more extreme versions of deep tissue massage, foam rolling. So a lot of these claims are probably off base. But if any of them are true, they're probably going to be in line with some of the research on things like foam rolling and massage and static stretching, to where you might get some improved mobility, you might get a minor improvement in recovery, in certain performance metrics, you might get improvements, but by and large, they're going to be very, very small, and they're not going to be anything that substantial. Probably the most likely would be that of reducing injury risk during a training session. And if that soft tissue work is done, followed up by static stretching, and done consistently enough for a long enough time, you might get some long-term improvements to mobility. But that's probably the extent of it. The thing that I would be more concerned with is looking at it, dose and response, and risk reward. So foam rolling, and soft tissue work in general, if you're looking at this tissue smashing, I would equate maybe this tissue smashing, having another person stand and walk on your quads or your back or things of that nature, would be comparable to squatting 2.5, 3 times your body weight. Meaning the first time you work out, you're not going to do that. You're not going to be ready to squat and able to squat 2.5 to 3 times your body weight until you've been putting in, 5 to 10 years of solid training at best, or you're just incredibly genetically gifted. But you're not going to just walk into the gym the first day and do those things. You have to build your way up to it. Same thing with the soft tissue work whether it's foam rolling or massage or this tissue smashing, you need to build a tolerance. So if you've never done any type of soft tissue work, simply taking a massage stick or a rolling pin and rolling out your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, very well might be adequate. Eventually you can transition to a foam roller, and then there's ways that you can apply more or less pressure with that foam roller, and there's more aggressive foam rollers that you can get. And maybe at a certain point you might build up enough tolerance that you might be able to tolerate and having somebody walk on you or using these large, weighted objects to roll on you. But that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of consistency with soft tissue work. It should not be painful. You should not tense up when you do soft tissue work. If you're tensing up, you're missing the whole point. It should be uncomfortable. On a scale of 1 to 10, it should be somewhere probably in a 4 to 7. But you should be able to relax. You should be able to breathe through it. If you can't do those things, you're not going to reap the benefits of it. So understand this tissue smashing that's being popularized now. The vast majority, probably 85-90% of the population, is not going to be able to do that. It's not going to be able to tolerate it. Maybe once you've been doing consistent soft tissue work, for 2, 3, 4, 5 years on a daily basis, then there might come a point where you can tolerate it. Even then, though, I'd ask, though, do you need to? Why do you need to do this? Is the risk reward worth it? And right now, with the zero research out there validating it, you can't really say what the reward is. But common sense tells us that rolling a 100-pound plus object up and down your spine or near your joints, or having another individual walk up and down your limbs, there's obviously a risk of injury there. Anybody that says otherwise is probably a little ignorant of human anatomy. So there's definitely a risk there. We don't know the reward yet. So for us at our facility, what I'm doing with our clients is we're going to stay away from the tissue smashing until we get some clear evidence that there's a big benefit to it. And then even if that were to happen, which we're probably talking 10 to 30 years away from having that type of research to validate that and say that would be beneficial, even then we would have to build clients up over a long period of soft tissue work to look at including that in their programming. So that's our thoughts from Fenton Fitness on tissue smashing.